Hello everybody, and I wanted to make a video talking about ayahuasca, shamanism, the archaic revival, all these things that have been coming up in my field of reality here lately, and things that I'm becoming more and more intrigued with, and things that I find very fascinating through my own experience with ayahuasca. And just wanting to share that with you guys. I've done ayahuasca probably more than a handful of times, and I've had some very beautiful experiences, and I've had some pretty terrifying ones as well. And I just wanted to share on a little bit of both and what happened within those experiences. Now, I'll start with like the very beautiful experiences, like the experiences that I had that were really just like mind-blowing. I mean, they were all mind-blowing, but the ones I guess that I would judge as being a little bit more pleasant would be the ones where I really felt like a union with the divine, or a self-realization of the divine as I am. And it's like an experience that I don't think I will ever find. I keep saying that like we would need like new words in order to, tangibly, viscerally describe, in a sense, what that's really like. Because like the infinite and the divine is where words come from. So how do you apply something as limited as a word to something that is limitless? And it's just like, it's beautiful, it's late breaking news, and it's something that really made a big positive impact on my life and really changed the trajectory of my spiritual journey, has really deepened it in a very profound level. I learned a lot. I had a lot of realizations, and also what it did is like it created an opening within me to really face some things within myself. It's taught me a lot about my feelings and how I really need to be paying attention to my feelings, and how a lot of us in the world today aren't doing that. And that's because so many people aren't taking care of their own individual needs, because they don't know what they are feeling. They are so out of touch with their emotions. And what that did was create a more intimate connection with my feelings. It was almost like you're going to feel what you feel, and you're not going to have any options. You're not going to have any form of escapism. You're not going to have any forms of avoidance in order to have these experiences, because these are aspects of your subconscious that are very injured and are crying out for you to acknowledge it in order for it to lessen its grip on you, so to speak. So it really helped me also learn some things about the relationships with the other people in my life, and the changes that needed to be made in those relationships. It gave me a very deep connection with my environment and with the people in my environment. And basically what that's just telling me is that you are your environment, and you are the others that are in your environment, and we all kind of have like an effect, in an interconnectedness with one another, and we all affect each other on like not only on the physical level, but also on an energetic, multi-dimensional level as well. And it's taught me that too. And the more terrifying experiences that I had was, I think, taking me through the different levels of the bardos, that they call in Buddhism, which are the different levels of death. And it got to the point where I had the experience of my individual sense of self was kind of going into this void, like I was dying. And it has like a body effect on you too, so like I couldn't tell whether or not I was breathing. I was losing the sensation of any kind of boundaries to my body, and I was losing pretty much, like my ego was just like completely falling apart. And it was weird because this particular experience, it was like I started off really good, it was really beautiful, and I got to a point where things just started just coming all apart, and I was just laughing, and things started getting really ridiculous, and it was just uncontrollable laughter. And all of a sudden it was like a switch got flipped, and all of a sudden it was like, oh God, the existential disillusionment, all that stuff started really sinking in. It was really, really quite terrifying. But I think that on some level, that's something that all of us, especially if you're on a spiritual path, it's really important to kind of make peace with death. it's really important to see death as, it's almost like you're living your life preparing for that moment, because of how we're conditioned to view death, and how we're conditioned to how we judge death, and how we and our relationship with death, that it's a scary thing, and we shove our elderly and isolate them in nursing homes, and we do everything we can to fight aging, and all these different forms we take to avoid that, and try to be in denial that death even exists. And I think it's really important. I think what ayahuasca was trying to do was open me up to contemplate more about my own impermanence, because I really think that kind of is a key to actually bringing you more into the present moment, because then you see what matters, because then you know that you do not have control, because the ego is so hung up on control, and you have an experience like that, and it's really traumatic for the ego. It's really traumatic for you. It's a difficult thing to integrate into your everyday life. But you do get past it. You do get through the emotional purging. You do get through the process with the right support, and taking very, very good care of yourself. And it's just really, I think it's just really important for a lot of us to just really dive deep into that, to really dive deep into our own impermanence, and to really dive deep into, the fact that, we don't have control over a majority of life, and to really go into a surrender into that. We don't have control over our birth. We don't have control over a lot of what happens throughout our life, and we definitely do not have control over what's to come in our final stages of life. So it really kind of anchors you into what really matters in the here and now. And it really also what it does, and this is a difficult thing, it was a hard thing for me to integrate this, but it also opens your eyes to kind of like a lot of the dysfunction within society. Like, I was really aware of it, for a long time, but really it opens my eyes to seeing how dysfunctional things really are within our society. How, for instance, we have a planet full of resources and abundance, yet a lot of us get up and we gotta do these like jobs that really aren't, have nothing to do with the soul, and really have nothing to do with creativity, healing, providing anything of sustainability to the planet, all these different things. And it's like, really, it's really ridiculous when your eyes are opened up to it, and it's like, really, guys, is this what we've collectively agreed on? Like, who came up with this shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's total, it's nonsense, and that's a really difficult thing to integrate. But I'm really grateful that ayahuasca literally found me. It literally came into my existence without me even really trying to put forth a whole lot of effort. So I guess it was kind of something that was meant to be, and it really has had a very profound effect on me, as it has so many other individuals. And it just opened my eyes to so much, and I'm still going through this integration process and this learning process, and it's almost like, I have these, days where it's just like these new realizations keep coming up. And another thing, it's deepened that sense of stillness within myself. It's deepened my spiritual practice. It's deepened my meditations. It's really, it kind of just really stopped me in my tracks. It really slowed me down. It really stopped me in my tracks, even though like I went through this like really major, and it was a very painful emotional purge that I went through, and when I went back into the normal world, and I went back into my normal life, I had to face the circumstances and the things that were going on in my life, and it really brought up a lot of things. And after ayahuasca, it's like you feel things at an even deeper level. And I went through a time of confusion, and I didn't understand what was happening to me. I didn't understand why things were the way they were for me, and it's really just learning about what you need, the changes that need to be made into your life, the relationships that you might need to be letting go of within your life, And it's just like, I can go on forever about this because it's really impacted me on a very, very deep level. And I think something about, you know, these shamanic plant medicines really need to start becoming more of a thing. I know it's like in the spiritual community, it's starting to become more and more popular. And I do want to say, as a disclaimer, these substances, the ayahuasca and the mushrooms, and these things need to be taken with the utmost respect, not in a nonchalant way whatsoever, not in a casual way whatsoever, with the utmost respect and the utmost reverence. These are very, very powerful tools. The thing is that your point of reference and your mind and your perspectives are very powerful, and you do not realize that until you have an experience where that completely just falls fucking apart, and you don't know which way is up, and you don't know your asshole from a hole in the ground. Like, it's serious stuff, and it's not a toy. It's not to be done recreationally. It's not, you know, it's not a kid's play. It's not kids' games. It's serious stuff, and it needs to be approached in such a way. It's not a form of escapism, and also it's not a fix-all, and it's not going to solve the problems in your life. You know, 90% of the work is going to be on the choices that you make. 90% of the healing is within the choices that you make, because you make an impact. And you realize the impact that you make as an individual, because, and also a thing, I think, in talking about the archaic revival and how the shamanism needs to become more of a part of our communities, because it creates a sense of union within communities. It creates a sense of understanding and heart openness within communities. And the fact that these plants have been, you know, so demonized and ostracized, and the people that use them have been, you know, put in this like shameful corner and labeled as a criminal, is just absurd to me. I think it's absolutely insane that we've done that. I think in a well-respected in a well-respected, disciplined way, and these plants can be introduced into mainstream society without it injuring people. Of course, you're going to have individuals that are going to go out here and they're going to, you know, they're going to abuse, but, you know, at the same time, I think with the right education, with the right, you know, disclaimers applied, and I think actually with a more sense of openness about these things, you know, it can be done in a very respectful way. And I am just all for people having that experience, and let it be something that you implement more into as a tool within your own healing. And like I said, with respect, within law, like with abiding within the laws, of course. You know, there, you can go to ayahuasca ceremonies here in the United States, and there's a certain level of you know, there's a certain protocol that you have to go by in order to legally attend a ceremony, and it's just something that I think that needs to start coming more into the mainstream, especially in the times that we live in right now. It's almost like these yoga studios just aren't going to be enough. Because the intent at which people are approaching yoga to begin with, for the physical gain and aspect of it, you know, that just kind of takes away from the meat of the practice itself. So I'm hoping in the future that we can have that archaic revival within our modern society to kind of break down those social barriers, to kind of really create a unionization of communities and understanding and a coming together. It's the way I think that it was really meant to be. It wasn't meant to be the way it is right now. I think it's absolutely dysfunctional and ridiculous the way we live, and it's really helped me open my eyes up to that. And that's kind of one of my intents in creating this and creating these videos, is to help put this kind of education out there for people to be able to decide for themselves, because people should have the freedom of choice to do with their consciousness as they will, as long as it's not hurting anybody. And these ceremonies, if anything, are having profound effects on people, and they are not hurting people. So I just want to make this video. I want to share. Hopefully I'll be able to share a lot more. And I love you guys. Please take care of one another. Come together. Love your hearts. And just, happy healing. We're all doing this together. I love you.